What is this? Versailles? This is like the second one in a couple of weeks, which is still really kind of baffling because these are not that common of a bike. This is one of the last years that LeMond was being produced by Trek before they canned the line, and they made some awesome ones before they did too. I think that was a horrible mistake. But in any case, check out this bike, and actually really check out the rider on this particular one because he is an advocate for cyclists more than I am. I would probably beg to differ. In any case, he's pretty cool. We're going to take care of his cool bike and we'll just review what he's done and thousands of miles of after riding. Check it out after this. Welcome to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging out with a guy. Hi, I'm Justin the Guy. Obviously I have a garage shop. Take scary out of use, one bike at a time. If you want to be kept up to date on latest projects and topics, please like and subscribe. Hey, welcome back to I Know a Guy Bicycles, hanging with a guy on this old bike series. I'm Justin the Guy, and we're checking out this awesome 2007-ish Versailles Greg LeMond bike made through the Trek outlet portal thing. In any case, I'm really excited about this specific bike, and really excited about this specific rider on this bike. He's one of my earlier customers when I started doing this venture at I Know a Guy Bicycles, and right during beginning of COVID-ish, I think, maybe a little bit after, I was able to pick one of these up. I actually rode this for a little bit, and this is an awesome bike. Then I've found some upgrades, upgraded it, and listed it because I was going on to the next one, which was a titanium bike, which was kind of fun too. Anyway, that's kind of a small, big benefit of doing this refurbishing. When you find a bike your size, you ride it for like a month or so just to get the feel for it. And if it's not quite your cup of tea, or it's like, oh, there's something else shiny, you sell it, then go on to something else. It's kind of like, I don't know, buying and selling sports cars, because you're just not going to keep it that long, right? It's, yeah, anyways. But this is more a passion of love for me that actually is developed into this channel, so thank you for watching. And number two is bringing people into cycling. That particular advocate piece is huge for me because if you watched any of my videos before, I came from a small and pop shop called Parker Bikes in the 90s, and we treated every customer with a warm hug. And that's where I grew up in the cycling industry for about 13 plus years, watching my parents to the knuckle grind of day-to-day retail in the 90s with bike brands and all of that, and being in the mix with it, being a very big advocate of trying to get people into cycling. Well, roll fast forward to today, we're looking about, gone through a lot of different experiences. The industry has changed to total, I don't know, crap for bike shops, and what you got now is a lot of high-end, elite kind of jock-oriented environments. Unfortunately, that's there. Fortunately for me, you got me. What I'm doing is trying to give that warm hug back and refurbishing road bikes. So this is one I refurbished, went through, detailed it, got it all cleaned up, and got them going. Well, what did he do, Mr. Kirk? Well, Captain Kirk, I'm going to call him, because he's the captain of cycling enthusiasts in the Weld County, Greeley area in Colorado. He is known to be this older gentleman that loves to ride and inspires riding, and he's actually brought a good handful of friends of his that he inspired to start riding with him on the Pooter Trail in Greeley. Awesome, right? Can't ask for more. Nor did I sold him a bike, but he kept on bringing other people to buy bikes, which, I mean, for a business owner, you must be doing something right. Well, hopefully I still am, and here we are today. Well, he has gone over and beyond, and this is where a story that I'm going to feature him in an interview sit down once he picks up this bike to go over the details of what inspired him to get a bike, getting into riding, what is he doing today, and what can you, or basically inspire others to do the same thing he's doing. What's super cool is, yeah, LeMond was a great racer, yeah, what have you, but the person that's riding this bike, I would say hands down, is probably a better advocate for cycling in today's world than the old racers of the past. Not to say you guys don't have your place, you've had your chance. Let the advocates of the real people that do real riding on a recreational basis take front and center. Reason being is the industry has gotten too nuts, and we need more of these to develop bike paths, be advocate for cyclists to get into riding, and to provide a great environment, right? A community. He's building his community. I'm building my community here. So hey, old bikes, old people, and this cat, he will smoke you. I mean, he's one of those retired individuals, big beer belly, likes his beverages, hangs out at several breweries, but yeah, he'll get on his bike, and however he's feeling, that's what he'll ride. So when you're looking at 30 miles one day, 50 another, 60, his goal was when he hit 70 this year, he'd ride 70 miles, and sure shit, he did. I can't, I mean, come on. If I get to 70 and I'm riding 70 miles and able to do it without dying, I'm doing pretty good, right? So are you if you're watching this and you're in that age bracket. And all those below you, we are inspired. That's where I'm kind of like on the age level of when I pass 50, you get these statistics and you start buzzing around in your head and you're like, there's only so much time left, right? And hey, you better start like doing some good things or it's just going to be not that great for you in the long run. In any case, I'm going to do a tune-up on this. As a matter of fact, I'm doing a comp tune for him. He's been such an advocate, I'm doing the works. I didn't get a chance to do detailing the frame with a ceramic coating. Haven't got a chance to do the wax on his drivetrain. He's actually gone through a couple chains of cassettes since he's ridden. I think, if he can correct me wrong, but I think he's hit over 11,000 miles in the 4 years he's had this bike. So, yeah, you heard me right. If you can do 11,000 miles in 4 years, that's fantastic. So in any case, this bike has had some use. And the other kicker is, he bought it used. You put 11,000 miles on a tuned-up used bike that had a static fit, and he hasn't done a change to any geometry or stem or seat or anything since I did that static fit. So lo and behold, you can get yourself a good used bike and bam, put 10K on that bike and still have a great time with a big smile on your face. So therefore, you don't need to buy those $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 bikes. You can buy yourself a used one under 1,000 this was, and give yourself a good experience, good riding, and there's always going to be a nice new shiny thing, but you can redo it and repurpose it or reuse it or upcycle it, however you want to coin it, to your kind of riding. So that's a lot about the bike rider himself. So yes, we can be inspired by Kurt and his actually advocacy of getting into trail, talking to those people of trail maintenance and trail development, all that kinds of things. And we're really fortunate up here in my neck of the woods because we already have a pretty decent trail system, but yet it still needs to always be improved upon to increase more paths and so forth. Between the traffic being crazy and distracted drivers, a lot of people are driven to gravel riding, so they're off those main roads, and second, onto bike path riding. So currently right now we have a Loveland and Fort Collins area where we have connection trails. So you can pretty much be on the trails all day long without being on the same trail twice. They're fixing the section of Loveland which is dirt now into pavement. Hopefully in the spring it'll be all ready to go. There's one section that goes underneath a major highway, I-25, which they're trying to get that connection to the next city over, which is Timoth, which connects to Windsor, which connects to Greeley, where Kurt is. That's where I'm going with this. So Kurt's been on the channels with these individual developments within the city management and all that to develop and see where these progresses are and so forth. Well, at some point, hopefully with the next summer, this is exciting news that you can pretty much ride around all Loveland and Fort Collins and shoot underneath the highway and go all the way to Greeley. And let me tell you, that's a lot of miles. So you can probably do a century on bike paths alone without being on the same path twice. Get that? That is freaking awesome. And we have some beautiful areas. I just rode it today, or actually yesterday. Got my days confused already. And it's fall, beautiful trees, changing colors. People are out. You got a crispness of the fall air. The sun's a little different angle. You pick up on those little things. And I ran into a pair of ladies when we were talking about the trail when I was out on the ride. They're elderly. They both had e-bikes, which is great. They're out on the paths doing their thing. And talking to them and talking about riding, right? Just to get your head out of it. Just to be able to just lose yourself and let all those stresses kind of shed away. I want to go for a ride. I'm not really focused on thinking of anything, but I'm thinking the whole time. But I'm thinking about things and working through things that are funny, videos, whatever, you know, kind of trying to enjoy and share and all that kind of thing. So, Kurt's perspective, this is his bike. This is his baby. So we're going to take care of this thing. Okay. Now to the bike. Greg LeMond Versailles. I'm not sure where Versailles actually came from. I could probably look it up. But in any case, this is a 57. I just worked on one of these as I'm refurbished. It's in my library. In any case, it's going to be similar, but it's different. The drivetrain has a couple different bits on it. This one does have upgraded Bontrager carbon covered disc wheels, or semi-disc wheels, but the frame and fork is the same. He's going with a little bit nicer bar tape. He's going to be doing some cables and housing replacement. I mean, come on, 4 years, those cables have seen better days, so we got some good bar tape to go on there. And then he's going to go and upgrade to the, yes, you got it, wax chain, because he's worn out, obviously, this cassette, and he wants to make sure it's lively for the next go around. And it is the fall. He's on a trip, and he doesn't want to replace the tires, which are pretty close, that need to be pretty close to replaced, but he wants to wait till next season on those. So that being said, between bar tape, cables in the housing, and a new chain, I think we're pretty much that's much it. If you bought one of these, I've been seeing these on the used market around 500-ish, maybe even less. Okay, you put 500, let's just say this cost you 400. You found one, you're talking down to 400. Worst case scenario, you know, if the frame and fork is still intact and the wheels are okay, it can't even be the wheels are bad, because they did come with the paired spoke systems from Bontrager, and that's why a lot of these don't have those, because they crack. Case in point, this guy right here. This one has 8 cracks, around 8 nipples on the last bike I worked on. As well, this is come off of LeMond, same vintage. So, got to keep in mind on that. So, let's say you got to get a wheel. Well, you can get a wheel or a wheel set. I'm sure you can probably find them on the used market around $100 that are pretty decent. The tune-up itself, let's say it's a let's say $250 tune-up. Okay, so you're at $350, and maybe another $100 in ports. That's $450. You're still under $1,000 for a bike that's full carbon, fully tuned, ready to go, more gears than the new ones, guarantee you. Even if it's a double, this one's a triple for the climbing. And then you have, you know, the geometry, all the cables externally, which you can work on yourself. So you can kind of cut that price down if you're willing to do some of the work yourself, detailing the frame and all kind of things. Even if you got some extra bits like a nicer saddle and so forth, you're still under $1,000 for a full carbon bike with 105 Ultegra componentry, which is the 2nd to 3rd level in the Shimano line of componentry. That is awesome. I mean, yeah, you're like, oh, it's still $1,000. Well, that's $1,000 like you can ride 11,000 miles on. Think about it. Yeah, you may need some tires, may need a chain here and there, something like that, parts that wear out. But imagine how many miles of your life you're going to extend. Think about it. Had a video about mental health, brain injury, and so forth with Scott LaPointe. Definitely watch that video. Very eye-opener for me. Doesn't take very much exercise per week to get you out of risk of degradation of mental faculties. Believe me, you don't want to go batshit crazy when you get older. That's the thing. And this cycling, amongst other kinds of working out, will help that. So, hey, talk about $1,000 for investment in your health. That's a pretty pennies on a dollar kind of situation, especially if you're 70 at this cat can still drink beer. Probably pretty drink me under the table, but I don't drink that much. But anyway, he rides, he kills me on riding. I mean, it's just hell hands down. And those cats that he's bringing into cycling, they're in their 20-somethings. So he's blowing them away. Like, dude, if you're 70 and you're that fit, you don't look it, watch out for that angry old guy, because we can smoke you if we really what was it called? Angry dad string. Yeah, any case. Cool carbon frame. This is also a little bit backstory on the LeMonds. If you don't know about Greg LeMond, he was the first American that won the Tour de France. He made some frames for a while. They got picked up by Trek. They made his geometries and so forth. So he had hands-on on what the frames are being made and manufactured and all that. Trek made a lot of them in the United States until about 2006, 2007. That's when Trek moved everything over to Taiwan, because basically they were making carbon bikes better over there and they couldn't keep up. So they moved the whole manufacturing over there. So this is one of those Taiwan frame built bikes which has the higher grade componentry. I'm riding this one here, which is the Buenos Aires, which is pretty much the same bike, just a little bit of different paint job. Rides phenomenally. Got the sub carbon absorption. Quick. I mean, you crank it, it snaps, it handles great. It's not too twitchy like the Kleins are, and not too lax like the Treks are. So you have that great responsive frame underneath you. He loves his. I mean, he just rides and rides and rides. So when you're looking at this particular carbon frame, it's the higher grade and pretty much same style of carbon that's being built today, without all the funky junk of tucking all those cables inside, internal routing as a mechanic. And also, if you want to work on your own bike, it's a royal pain in the ass. Guarantee you. So, if you can find a good traditionalist bike with external cables, you're going to be happy so. Because if you ever need to replace any of those damn things, it's going to be, oh, I can do that, versus, man, I'm going to have to pay for someone to do that, because I don't want to spend a half a day, 2 days trying to figure this out, then take it to the bike shop afterwards. That's where you're going to end up. In any case, that's where we're at. So this bike, going to detail the frame, get it some ceramic coating. Same thing with carbon wheels. Give those a nice little ceramic coating too. Going all out on this one, guys, because this guy goes all out for everybody else. So this is tit for tat. I'm going to give him a best tune-up that I can on this particular bike, and hopefully he'll hopefully it'll hold up for him. I mean, the guy rides. So hopefully it just gives him another 11,000 miles, and I hope he just has a big smile on his face and brings a lot more people into the cycling community, from recreational riders to a little more younger youth getting into racing and so forth. He's part of that too. In any case, I'm going to tear into this, crank some tunes, and you probably saw me do some of that. And we'll review any kind of major boo-boos. If not, we're going to go over just basically the layout of the componentry when it's all cleaned up and see what we find. It is what it is, and we'll find what's there. In any case, thanks for hanging out with me again. It makes you to make this channel on this old bike. Check out these parts. I'm sure they turned out pretty sweet. Well, here we have clean parts. Definitely scrubbed up. Front derailleur is good. Rear cleaned up really well. Just got all that exploded out. Chain rings with a lot of wire brush scrubbing. That should definitely get that a lot cleaner and work. And hopefully this cassette is not compromised, but it looks pretty clean now. Wheels I've washed. I still need to true and do the ceramic coating and get that all going. And, oh, wait. Where's the frame? Oh, man, we got to review this. Well, you know, sometimes there's just a hitch and you get on. Hitch and you get on. Hitch? Yeah, something like that. Once in a while, as mechanics, not everything goes as planned. You know, obviously you do a tune-up, you do all your stages, and you come across something going, ooh, yeah. Well, a lot of times, unfortunately, in a lot of shops just kind of skip over that, or they put it back onto the customer like, oh, well, this is all messed up, so we didn't get to that. Or they call and go, oh, by the way, this needs to be addressed. This is one of those scenarios where did take it apart. Underneath the crankset, I found a whole bunch of scarring. In other words, the chain got sucked in there, ripped off the metal plates that were there, and basically exposed the carbon. Nothing's damaged, just a lot of surface. It looks like, yeah, looks like it was a pretty good ordeal. I would assume somebody maybe sanded that down a little bit. I don't know. It's pretty mucky muck. So what I decided to do is I'm going to do some painting. Typically don't do any touch-up painting on bikes, maybe some boo-boo stickers, that kind of thing. But when it comes to pretty serious with a lot of exposed carbon, I come from a farm and we use Rust-Oleum farm implement paint. This stuff is all weather resistant, heavy duty kind of stuff. What that's going to do is going to build up that surface. Then I'm going to give a little extra protection. Then I'm going to see if this will color match. If not, I'll do a little test. If it doesn't match, I'll just leave it black. It's underneath the crank, so it's underneath this guy. You're not going to see it. It's just going to be, it'll be hidden for the most part. I'm more worried about the protection of the carbon. Carbon's probably fine, but you don't want to have, it's a fiber, so you don't want to get moisture in there and that kind of thing. It's just not good. It's just better to have it treated. So when I go through and touch up that portion with the blue, there's other couple chip areas I might just take a little Q-tip and kind of dabble. There's another area underneath the chain brake, which I've showed before. I'm going to put a boo-boo sticker there and some hardening clear coat using UV to protect that area, but I have to get it finished painted first. Gotta let it cure for 24 hours to get it really hardened. That's where this stuff really becomes like tractor bomb proof. So this is kind of like my go-to for protection for that paint. Why am I doing all this? Well, in other words, I want to protect the frame. It's a good bike, it's a good frame. Just want to make sure it's protected as much as possible. I'm also going to be detailing it in addition to putting a ceramic coating on it. So I want to make sure all these little bits are corrected or fixed as best as possible before I go into the detailing phase of this. Yeah, because it's all in stages. And with any kind of ceramic coating itself is not hard. It's all the prep work to it. So when you go get your car done and you get this absurd amount of money to be charged for ceramic coating, it's like, well, it's all the detailing, the paint prep and all that stuff beforehand, which I do more of a micro scale because it's a frike frame. It's smaller, but it has a lot of curves to it. So, one thing or another. But I like to put the ceramic coating. It doesn't have to be a perfect paint job. The ceramic coating, I'm putting it there for protecting what is still there, in addition to repel water and contaminants getting to the surface of the paint. So if there's, or surface of metal. So if you have an area like steel frame where it might have exposed steel, therefore that ceramic coating works really well for that. Well, in an interim, I'm going to go through and put all the parts back together, clean it up, true the wheels, adjust the hubs if need be, and clean them and put a ceramic coating on those and get all the parts prepped and ready to go. In interim, waiting for the paint to dry, contacted Kirk. It's like, hey, he's out of town. So I'm like, hey, when are you thinking about picking this up? But it might be a day delay for doing this to make sure it's done right. I'm the kind of guy that's going to do it right. And if not going to be done right, I'm going to definitely give you that option. Like, oh, you don't want me to do that? Okay, it's, I'll do what I need to do. But the thing is I want to make sure that everything is properly working, it's safe, functional. And if I come across anything that's something weird, I do say something for sure to make sure either if it's still rideable, it's fine, okay. But if it's something that needs to be, it should be addressed while we're already at the stage, not while redo it again. That's where the extra professionalism kicks in. It might take a little bit longer to do. Yeah, it might kick your can another day down or a day later for the bike to be repaired. But wouldn't you rather have the bike done right for the most part on the first attempt versus coming back like, well, something's kind of funky on it, come back if you have any issues, and lo and behold, you go for that first ride and you have some issues. Granted, there's always some things along with tune-ups that may be unforeseen or uncontrollable. For example, cables and housing. Cables and housing, the housing self compresses, therefore it gives this sensation that you have a cable that's stretched. That's a misnomer. We just don't correct anybody, but it's just too difficult to explain it. Because yeah, the housing has fittings on the end and then it compresses down. Sometimes we try to pre-compress those, get it tight as possible, but time will tell and be the proof of those cables and housing. So when you're looking at compressionless housing for derailleurs and brakes, there lies some tight fittings, and then sometimes those give a little, and then all of a sudden you have a sloppy cable, which needs to be adjusted. Usually a couple of turns the corner, turns are counterclockwise, loosening it up on your barrel adjusters, a quarter turn to half a turn will lengthen that housing, which tighten that cable. Make sense? Absolutely not. But in any case, I try. Anyway, that's what we do when you bring in your bike for its minor little adjustments. It's just a couple quarter turns counterclockwise on those barrel adjusters to snug up that cable. So there lies one of the bits that usually some people come back. Also, another one is like, yeah, you get a new chain on there. We test ride it and it doesn't seem to be jumping and popping, or something maybe creak after a while, something loosen up like in the bottom rack area. Those kinds of things do happen. We try to do everything by torque specifications, but things still loosen up. It is a bike by all means, and it has all these little parts, as you can see here, that could put a little wrench in our get along. And we try our best. I mean, well, most of us. I at least try my best and try to do any kind of prevention possible out of the gate. So the likelihood of you coming back, needing to be readdress some issue is narrowed. All we do is try to minimize that and minimize risk of that's functioning the best as can and minimize risk of danger in any of that case. So there lies the mechanics woes. Not really a woe. This is kind of a little bit of delay. I'm going to do little things here that I can. I got some other things going to be rolling in while the paint is drying, that kind of thing. And I have another bike to dive into. So in any case, there's always something else to do while we're waiting for certain things to, either parts to come in and so forth. I'm pretty sure most bike shops don't do any touch-up painting whatsoever. If they do, they're going to charge astronomical amount. So for this, it's just a simple touch-up. It's not going to be the prettiest, honestly. I don't have a paint booth or anything. It's pretty your simple cardboard and tape off, but it's going to protect that carbon. So I'm doing something at least for, and if he gets down the road and he wants it repainted, yeah, then you can go to one of those, probably an auto paint booth, and have them do painting. I know they do parts on cars and so forth. They can easily hang up a bike frame and do the whole thing too. Repainting, I'm not sure of the process, if they want to bead blast it or strip it or smooth out. They have their own process. That's a whole different world. I'm just in the detailing portion of this, not the painting portion of this. But hey, you never know. At some point I might get into it and have the space to do it. Garage is getting really cramped as it is, so probably not anytime soon. But in any case, a little touch up here and there I can make room for, especially when it's on a warmer day like today. And that also gives me an excuse to do more computer work, editing videos like this, versus sitting in the garage that's 85 degrees. In any case, here we are. So, well, in any case, we're going to wait till this completely dries. We're going to give a little kind of update status. And once it's all put together and ready to go, we'll do a little review of what we come across, if there's anything else, and then going to take it for its beautiful test ride. So hang tight. So Kurt, I just tuned up your bike. What do you think?
I think it's fabulous. I've been really looking forward to getting the tune-up and kind of a refurb and get a like-new bike.
Nice, nice. So when I was working on a bike, I was talking about your story and journey, but I'll have that in a separate video, definitely listed below. But working on your bike, it's definitely seen some miles, a lot of miles, which is great. And this is the second time I believe I tuned it up since you purchased it.
It is
4 years ago now?
Yep.
Okay. So I've been noticing when I'm doing tune-ups, I always really wanted to know how long they held, like they hold up. And could you tell me between the first tune-up and when you bought the bike and the first tune-up, did you have any issues? Did you have to take it to any shops to have minor adjustments or anything like that?
I did take it to my local shop.
Okay.
For an adjustment, and another time, or maybe twice, I had flats that I let them fix, and I said, to adjust my cables and so forth. But anything major, you've done.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's one of those things where, in the industry, we just tell people as a knee jerk when they ask us, when should we get this tuned up? And we're like, once a year. Right. And you're a testimonial of you do a lot of miles.
I
do. And in that case, it's like, well, usually we would say if you do a lot of miles, maybe twice a year. And it held for 2 years, which is either I did a really good job or the bike is really in good shape or you're just a very gentle rider.
Or you get used to the slow going out of adjustment.
Yeah, the slow.
Because if that's not sudden, so your cables slowly stretch. If they move that much all at once, you would notice.
Yeah. You get kind of used to it, kind of overshift or undershift to
Yeah, there's a lot of trimming when trimming of my gears when it gets to that point.
To that stage, And and I saw him, recently, and he's like, "Well, you need your next tune-up." And I felt bad because my process from when I first did the initial refurbishing of it to now, I do waxing and detailing and ceramic coating and polishing, and I'm like, Kurt, we need to get your bike up to where my standards are now today. So what do you think of the ceramic coating and the polish on that?
It looks great. I'd mentioned that I've had a car ceramic coated, so I'm familiar with kind of the process and what you should have, but just walking up today and seeing that in the sunlight, it really pops.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bike to begin with, but it really pops.
Yeah. I mean, it really makes it paints on a lot of bikes I've worked on, especially like the fancy Klein paint jobs or those high-end paint jobs that they're producing today on those very expensive bikes. But for me in the technical realm of being a mechanic, I'm like, well, yeah, it's pretty, but the bud is on ceramic coating, it beads the water so tight that it just sheds right off. It's easy to wipe off. If it does dry with mud on it, I do have a little test video of that where you let it dry, then you just spritz it with light water and it just falls right off. So it will protect the clear coat, the paint. It does give you a little bit of protection, but not a lot from impact, but from scratches. But for overall, though, it helps keep the bike clean, and that keeps the contaminants getting into other parts of the bike.
I like things to be clean. I like my machines to work. I have, for these years since I've owned the bike, run into people on the bike trails that compliment the bike. That's a good-looking bike, so forth. So from that standpoint, to throw a little ceramic on there to really make it stand out, I'm pleased.
Yeah. Oh, in addition to it has UV protection built into it. That helps keep the paint from fading, which I wish we had back in the 80s and 90s when we used fluorescent bikes, where they are super ugly now. I mean, they're like, ooh, that is bad. But in addition to, I did also not just the frame and fork. I also did it's good on wheels. It's good for mixed materials. I talked to Lithium, the company I've been using, and they said it works on titanium, it works on metals, it works on plastic. So a lot of times when I have the applicator still saturated, I'll hit the other parts, and I've gotten a process of doing the wheels too, thinking, well, wheels need a lot of love to keep the shedding and that kind of thing. It helps too. Probably make you that much faster aerodynamic.
I'll notice it.
Okay, you'll go faster. Also wax this chain, so it won't be known which one is better to increase your speed.
I'm eager to ride the wax chain as well.
Yeah.
I've not experienced that before. I've seen your videos and others. It didn't take much to convince me, and so I'm eager to get that cranking.
It's a old tech. They used to do candle wax on Tour de France and turn of the century, and they basically, a lot of people have had comments on my waxing videos like, oh, I just use candle wax or the paraffin canning wax or whatever, and they get so many miles out of it. A guy in England, he has it's called Zero Friction as a channel, and he did a test. He tests all the waxes, also drip lubes, and all the high-end ones. So he did a series just on candle wax, just for fun.
Yeah.
And it outperformed all the Teflon and petroleum-based lubes.
The simplest
the
is
simplest
the best.
thing. Yeah. Like, oh, okay. So even your less performance wax will outperform, and it's clean and all that kind of thing. But you can watch videos on that. But I just wanted to say this bike is in immaculate shape. Did a little touch-up painting, got it back to it's not as good as it's going to get for being a used bike. But just tell me, you got a used bike, you bought it from me, and origin's unknown. I mean, I don't think I bought it from the original owner. They rode it for a while. It's a 2007, so it's getting close to 20 years, 18 years old. And you bought it used. How many miles have you put on this?
Since I bought this bike from you, I'm pretty close to right on 9,000 miles on this bike.
9,000 miles.
Yeah, and I couldn't be happier. I love the bike, and I don't have any reason to replace it with a new bike or even a newer bike. When you can spiff it up, tune it up, tighten it up, make these changes to keep it going.
Yep.
It's like any fine machine. As long as you take care of it and you're willing to throw some maintenance and some parts at it, they should go forever.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I've been super. I love the bike. It's easy enough to look at new bikes like you would new cars or whatever, but I just fall in love with this bike every time I ride.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, and we did I've been doing static fit, which is, it's the cheaper version or the original version of fitting, and back in the day. And when I fit you originally 4 years ago, did you have to do any adjustments?
I haven't changed any of that. It's the only time I've ever had an experience of somebody fitting me to a bike.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't even know to ask before.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, ridden bikes all my life of some kind or another, out on the farm, in college, so forth. I had a good commuter type bike before I bought this one, and this one changed my whole cycling outlook. Nice. I get a good bike, a light bike. It's fast, it's comfortable. Right. And one of the biggest things that I brag about is that I was fitted, even with just a static fit, I was fitted to that bike, and it made so much difference. I see people that look uncomfortable on their bikes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, awesome. Well, I'm glad you're one happy camper.
I'm a happy camper.
I just wanted to add you to this feature of this video of working on it. It turned out great.
Yeah, thanks.
Well, thanks for hanging out within the garage, and check out these beautiful pictures in the sun. It's amazing. Anyway, if it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Have a great day.